Today's product focus is on copiers, scanners, and multifunction devices. So how exciting is that? So first question for you, do you need a new one? And I know it sounds a daft question, but just because your lease is up doesn't mean you need a new one. Now, every photocopier salesman under the sun will tell you that you do, but it's absolute garbage. Generally, you do not. That machine will carry on running forever. Well, not forever, but it will carry on running reasonably. And if it's not been giving you any grief, why do you need to buy a new one? You wouldn't buy a new car if it wasn't giving you any grief. So why buy a new copier? There's generally no need. Progression over the last few years hasn't been that great. All machines are digital. You check on the scanner and the quality and whatever. If it's doing what you need, my argument would be don't even bother replacing it. Just keep it on a maintenance only agreement. So that's number one. But assuming that you are going to buy one, do you buy it or do you lease it? Buy it every time. Do not get involved in leasing. And I'll tell you for why. If you lease, you will pay at least, and I mean this really, at least the retail price. You may well end up paying higher than the retail price for that piece of kit. The supplier gets paid within 7 days of you signing the agreement. That's why they love leases, because they get paid the whole amount straight up. It's a very cash positive business, photocopier supplies. So always negotiate on the basis that you're going to buy it with cash outright. And then when it comes to it, if you change to a lease, it's fine. It's not a problem. You'll get a deal based on that price that you've negotiated. You won't get some inflated price where they're saying, oh yeah, I'm going to save you money because you were paying £500, you'll now only pay £450. It's the biggest con under the sun. So buy every time. Leads me into when the salesman says, oh yeah, you're paying £500 a quarter and I'll do it for £450. Yeah, you're paying £500 a quarter and you've got 2 quarters left, or maybe 6 quarters left. Usually they'll try and sell you 18 months before the end of your deal. So you've got 6 quarters left. Okay, that's fine. And the new deal is £450, but it's going to run for another 5 years. And what they're going to do, they're going to roll into that the balance of the existing deal. So when you actually ask them to break down the numbers, you'll see it all broken down there, and it is scary, the amount that gets financed and rolled over. When they quite rightly tell you it's going to save you money, it's going to come down from £500 a quarter to £450, but it's nothing like what you should be paying for that piece of equipment. So there we are. Just, not that I'm passionate about this, you understand, just sharing the view with you. So bear in mind, Procurement Group, we've been doing this for over 17 years. And throughout my business life, I've always had a really keen interest in costs. So, but this business, Procurement Group, we've been doing for 17 years. And I've picked up I've seen some horror stories along the way. So next item is the commitments you make for the pence per copy. So does it increase each year? And if so, by how much? You'll be astounded to know that most copier agreements increase by 5% a year. Can you imagine that? 5% compound, year on year on year on year, for maybe a 3-year or even a 5-year agreement. Scary. You'd never do that if it was your money at home. So why do it on these things? And will they be supplying you with original or compatible toner? You need to know, because, well, when it gets to the end of the agreement, if you want to keep the machine and you've used compatible toner throughout, you might have problems getting a maintenance agreement. So make sure that, don't forget, they're charging you top dollar here. Yeah, make sure that you are getting original toner, and make sure it's written in the agreement. None of this salesman tells you, oh yeah, you can trust me, all that stuff. Just get it written down, because if you can trust him, why wouldn't he put it down in writing? What's their time to fix? So on the pence per copy deals, what's the time to fix? You're not interested in time to respond. They could send anyone out on a bike to come and respond. You want to know when that machine's going to be working again. That's all that matters to you, because when the machine packs up, it's absolutely no use to anyone. And you need to know when it's going to be working. So make sure that the KPIs that you sign up to in the pence per copy agreement are based on the time to fix. Now, I mentioned at the beginning about, do you need a new one or not? When it comes to the end of the lease, do not get steamrolled into getting a new machine. All electronic equipment that's being provided in the EU, yes, well, we were in it, but I know that's another story. But all electronic equipment in the EU has a 7-year supply of parts attached to it. Now, I haven't checked whether the UK has taken this on. They'd be idiots if they didn't. But the equipment that we get is generally the same as the equipment that goes into the EU because of the power supplies, which are 220 or 240 volt. So there will be a 7-year supply of spare parts. And the reason there's a 7-year supply of spare parts is because the equipment's meant to last. It's not meant to be thrown out after 3 years. Bear in mind that what often happens is you'll have a lease, the supplier will take it back off you. Oh, yes, I'll dispose of that for you. I'll do you a favour. And then they go off and flog it. So they get paid. Not only they got paid over retail price for it in the first place, but then when it comes back to them, they get money on at the back end as well. And you're left there thinking, being thankful for reducing your quarterly payments, when actually the whole thing is a complete and utter carve-up. So the spare parts are available for 7 years. So benefit from that. Make sure that you keep the machine. And also when it comes to it, and they tell, oh, this machine's worn out. Who sold you this kind of stuff? Then have a look at the stats. Find the product sheet. Go onto the internet for the supplier and see what the duty cycle of that machine is. Yeah, you will be horrified when you see how many copies you've done versus what the actual manufacturer's produced duty cycle is for the machine. And the sales guys will tell you, oh, yes, well, you can't run 100,000 copies continually. The machine would pack up and whatever. The duty cycle is the duty cycle, and it tells you what you need to know about what that machine can do in a year of normal office use, which is, you're not going to be running a 300,000 copy print run on a small office copier. You will on a production machine, but not on a small office copier. So always look at the duty cycle and bear that in mind when the salesman says to you, oh, you need a 40-page-a-minute machine or a 50-page-a-minute machine. Most of our clients can survive on a 20-page-a-minute machine just fine. They warm up really quickly and they go. So there are some considerations for you as far as copiers, scanners, printers, multifunction devices, whatever you want to call them. Don't get caught. It's a nasty market. We've had some absolute horror stories that we've unraveled, and we would be happy to help you with advice in this area. If you would like that, then I'm Simon Unger. I'm the Chief Executive of the Procurement Group, and I'm available on 07768 421 901, or my email is simonu@procurementgroup.co.uk. Thank you.